Hey guys, I'm Daniel from Dolder Media, and today I'm going to be talking about how to protect yourself from getting lawsuits at work. So when working in the medical field, what really matters is protecting yourself. Most of the job is helping patients, but a big portion of it is also protecting yourself and protecting the hospital you work for. Whether you're still a student or you already graduated, I'm going to give you guys 4 pointers on how to protect yourself from getting fired. So the most important thing you're going to need to do, and the first one, is charting. Now, charting is more of a legal thing that you do at work, and it really protects you in the end. There's a saying that people say, if you didn't chart it, it didn't happen, and that's very true. I've heard of many lawsuits where hospitals in 4 or 5 years after the fact pull up the paperwork and they audit to see exactly what happened for a patient to die or maybe some pressure injuries. And what they discover is that if you didn't chart something, there's no way of proving you did it. Let's say you walk into a patient's room and you churn the patients, or you change a vent setting. But if you didn't chart that thing that you did, you never really did it. And 4 or 5 years from then, if there is a lawsuit or anything happens, and they're gonna pull up all the paperwork, all the charting, they're gonna look to see if you actually did it. And if you didn't chart it, it didn't happen. Now, I'm very nosy, so I've actually looked at a few people who lost their licenses as RTs and as nurses. And I kind of looked at how the process worked, whether it was from the NBRC or whether it was from the nursing board. And every time I looked at a lawsuit to see why somebody lost their license or they got fired, what I noticed was that when they pulled up experts, lawyers, and other RTs or nurses to question them as to what they would do, one of the things that I noticed was that it was mostly due to the lack of charting or poor charting. I've seen examples of people actually doing the right thing, but because it wasn't documented, it was later pulled up in a lawsuit and they got fired. Now, for this kind of stuff, there's huge fines from $15,000 to $25,000, or you could even go to jail. So when you're going to school and you're learning how to do this stuff, make sure that you chart everything thoroughly. If you're already working as an RT or a nurse or anything else in the hospital, you really want to make sure you're thorough at your charting. You don't want to lie in your charting. You also want to make sure that everything that you did do gets covered. The last thing I want to say about charting is that it really does protect you in the end. Let's say that you did something to a ventilator, or you started an IV pump, or I don't know, whatever you did. And 3 years down the road, something happened to that patient and they want to look up exactly what caused that thing to happen. 3 years from the event, you're not going to remember. Most people don't remember what they did yesterday. I don't even know what I did today in the morning. So if you do chart, it helps you have a paper trail as to what you really did. Because 3 years from now, when you're in a deposition or when the hospital's looking through the paperwork, they're not going to know what you did, and you're not going to remember what you did either. The second thing that you can do to protect yourself from getting lawsuits or getting fired is learning from your mistakes. We're human. Everybody can make a mistake. But the thing that you really need to get out of that is that making a mistake is not a problem for the most part, unless it's a really, really bad mistake. But making small mistakes, even wrong vent changes or starting the wrong IV thing, is a really good opportunity for you to learn from your mistakes. When you learn from your mistakes, you just don't make that mistake again. You pick it up and you're like, look, I acknowledge the fact that I did something wrong, and now I learned from that and I won't make that again. So learning from your mistakes is important. If you keep making the same mistake over and over, management doesn't like that. Not only will you probably get fired if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, but you could also get lawsuits, and worse things can happen. You can get malpractice, negligence lawsuits, just because you keep making something and you didn't show that you're improving it. So while you're in school, or if you just graduated and there's something you're doing wrong, pick up from that. Don't be ashamed of yourself. Everybody does things wrong. I've talked to people that were working for 20 years and they still didn't know how to do some things that were instituted 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So it's absolutely okay to acknowledge the fact that you don't know something or that you've been doing something wrong. As long as somebody corrects you or you correct yourself and you stop doing the bad behavior or whatever you're doing, then you're gonna be fine. The third thing to protect yourself from lawsuits or for anything else is watch what you say. Whether it's in the break room or around a patient, I have tons of funny stories of people saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, and it comes back to bite most people back. So what I gotta say is, you might be friends with people in the break room and you guys might be talking about personal things, whether it's politics, religion, or who you were with the night before. But there might be somebody else listening, or there might be somebody around that doesn't like what you're talking about. And it's better to just keep work professional. If you're at work, you do get buddies with a lot of people you're there with. You spend 12 hours a day with them and you become friends. But you always got to keep that in the back pocket. Although you're friends, be at work, be professional, because one little thing you say might get you fired. Other than saying something around the department and maybe saying something offensive to a coworker or whoever it could be, you could also say something wrong in front of a patient. I've made this mistake myself plenty of times. Sometimes we get so desensitized to what's going on that we talk about death very comfortably, and patient family members aren't always okay with that, or they also don't really have the same kind of emotional baggage that we as medical professionals carry. So when you're in a patient's room and family members are present, or even the patient is present, try to kind of limit what you say. I mean, I've experienced nurses and RTs and doctors talking about some really inappropriate things in front of the patients, and I wouldn't want my mother or my father experiencing that at the hospital. If my parents were sick and they're in a hospital, I don't want to hear about the doctor, who he hooked up with, or who the nurse voted for, or any of that stuff. And I don't think any of your patients want to hear that either. So just kind of watch what you say, whether it's in the department, around your fellow workers, or in front of patients. Just be extra careful. We're living in 2022. This isn't really the climate we're in where you could just freely speak like you could in the 1950s. So whatever you believe in, just kind of keep that at home. Now, the last thing that's going to protect you is your outside life. Keeping your outside life in check and keeping a big difference between work and outside life. Now, prior to the internet, it was really easy to just live whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do, live whatever life you want to live. But with the internet age, like the gram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, YouTube, I don't even know, LinkedIn, whatever else is out there, people know every little thing you're doing. So watch what you do in the outside world. Whether you believe something that you shouldn't believe in, you should probably not really be so public about that. Something like that in today's world can really hurt you. Now, I'm not saying you should believe what you believe in and just hide it and keep it in the closet. What I'm just saying is be really careful. If you went out with your coworkers the night before and you guys got wasted or whatever you guys did, keep that to yourself. Try not to publicly post it. Most hospitals have a policy where you can't really make the hospital look bad. And if something comes up, they have a policy where they could fire you just because you made them look bad by being their employee. Most states are also at-will employments where they really don't need a reason to fire you, so just watch yourself. Don't post things on social media. Be careful with what you believe in. Be careful with what you like. You could believe all the stuff you want to believe. Do it with your friends. Just don't make things public. Keep things a little bit more private. We become very open with what we believe in. We become very open with our opinions. Try not to keep them posted on social media if you have a prestigious job. Now, we are working in an industry that's very prestigious. We're saving people's lives, and I don't know how comfortable some people would be having other people help them knowing what they post on social media. Thank you guys for watching. I've been gone for a while, but I'm back. I'm gonna be posting a lot more videos. Thank you very much. Have a great day.